this is Module 5B, Stone Implements of Hawaiʻi. In this week's lecture, we will discuss the different ways that volcanic rocks have and continue to be used in Hawaiʻi. We will go over uhau humupohaku, dry stack masonry, imu, the Hawaiian underground oven, different ways that pa'akai has been gathered, how rocks have influenced va'a or canoe history, as well as fishing, how they've been incorporated into games, and ki'i pohaku. In this week's lecture, we will use a lot of Hawaiian words. Ola i ko'olelo Hawaiʻi. I think this will be great practice for us to all normalize the original language of Hawaiʻi and help us to better understand how pohaku or volcanic rocks have shaped the culture and people of this place. As many of us, including myself, are still learning the language, I'll encourage you all to use your Lecture 5B slides while taking the quiz. The lecture slides can be found in the Resources tab. I also encourage you to take a look at the 2 readings that pertain to this model. Hiroa 1957 provides additional information and pictures of many of the stone implements and features that were discussed in this lecture. Kane 1997 is a document that was written by Herb Kane, one of the original founders of the Polynesian Voyaging Society, which created Hokulea, as well as a renowned artist here in Hawaii. So we'll start today's lecture with uhau humupohaku. Uhau humupohaku is the art of dry stack masonry. This method is an ancient technique of making stone structures without the use of concrete. The rock builder looks at the rocks and places them in such a way that the wall uses gravity and the shape of the rocks to hold it together. Today, we will introduce you to some of the masters of this field and their work towards restoring many of Hawaii's most treasured architectural features. Hui Ho'oniho is a non-profit established to perpetuate the art of uhau humupohaku, dry stack masonry. In this video, we'll get to know 3 masters of uhau humupohaku: Sam Bell, Billy Fields, shown here in the opening image, and Palani Sinechi. This video highlights the work and their legacy. You will have questions from your quiz that can only be answered by watching this video. So use the YouTube link here to watch this video. One of the features, or the rock wall features, that use uhau humupohaku is kauhale. Kauhale refers to a group of houses comprising a Hawaiian home. Traditionally, this included separate houses for the men's eating house, women's eating house, sleeping house, cookhouse, canoe house, etc. You can see here in this image that the hale sits upon a rock platform that was constructed using uhau humupohaku. The house itself is constructed entirely using natural materials. All lumber is lashed together with rope. The roof in old Hawaii was made out of pili grass, a native grass that is now very rare. If you're on campus and ever make it down to the lo'i, you will see that there is actually a hale that's constructed there using all natural materials. Here in this image, you'll see a heiau, a place of worship. This image is of Pu'ukohola, and it is one of the largest heiau in Hawaii. It is located on Hawaii Island in North Kohala, and Kamehameha the Great, the one who is credited for uniting all of the islands in Hawaii, was advised by his kahuna to build and dedicate Pu'ukohola heiau to the war god Kuka'ilimoku to help in his efforts to unite the Hawaiian Islands. The 224 by 100-foot structure is surrounded by 16 to 20-foot walls. Each pohaku is transported in place by hand. You can imagine the manpower that was needed to construct this heiau. We will learn more about heiau next week. Here's an image of a local i'a, or a fish pond. You see here the kuapa, or the fish pond wall, being restored and maintained. We will learn more about local i'a in the hydrology section, and today we'll provide just a brief overview. Hawaiian fish ponds, or local i'a, are unique and advanced forms of aquaculture found nowhere else in the world. The technique of herding or trapping adult fish with rocks in shallow tidal areas is found elsewhere in the world, but the local i'a kuapa, or walled coastal ponds, are unique to Hawaii. There are 6 styles of Hawaiian fish ponds, most notably the local i'a kuapa, shown here, which were technologically advanced and efficient as their main purpose was to cultivate pua, baby fish, to maturity. Their creation was the result of Hawaiians' deep understanding of their environmental processes specific to our islands, as well as their connection and observation of the food resources on the Aina land and in the Kai Ocean. Ocean fishing is dependent to a great extent upon conditions of the ocean and weather. High surf, storms, and other associated weather phenomena influence and interrupt most fishing practices. Therefore, fish ponds provided Hawaiians with a regular supply of fish when ocean fishing was not possible or did not yield sufficient supply. Here you see images of an imu. An imu is an underground oven used to cook food. Ua ahu ka imu ua ene kalamai. Ua ahu ka imu ua ena ka pohaku. The imu is set and the stones are glowing red hot. Here in this image, you can see rounded basalt stones are being stacked in preparation and being lit, shown here on the right. The image on the left shows those stones that have been lit and that we'll use to heat the oven and cook the food. This image here on the left shows Hawaiian food that you would eat at a party in Hawaii. Typically, the pork laulau, or any type of laulau, and the kalua pig are cooked in the imu itself. You'll also typically eat chicken long rice, lomi salmon, which is tomatoes, green onions, and salmon, as well as poi. Next, I encourage you all to watch this video. In this video, you'll meet Ohana Domingo. They are a well-known family in Hawaii known for their catering business and Hawaiian food. For many families and communities in Hawaii, building imu is more than just cooking a meal. It is a special time to gather in celebration of a baby's first party, high school graduation, or another life achievement. For communities, it's a time to celebrate a harvest, or for mahiai or farmers who have worked hard providing the food to sustain us. And what you'll notice in this video as you watch it is to build an imu, it takes lots of hands. To move all those rocks, to start the fire, to watch the fire, to maintain it, to ensure that it continues to cook the food. And because of that, it really is a group effort. This next slide shows poho pa'akai. Poho pa'akai refers to a rock with a depression in which salt water was extracted from seawater. Along the rocky intertidal zone of some of the coastline, there are places for salt gathering and manufacture. Numerous poho pa'akai still remain scattered along the Kalaimano coast in North Kona. These salt pans consist of circular stone enclosures constructed on slightly elevated pahoehoe flows. The poho pa'akai are unique as their interiors were lined with a lime plaster that created a smooth, non-permeable bowl to manufacture salt. Here is a 3D rendering created by the Kamehameha schools. And you can view more of these 3D models at this link here. I encourage you folks to all take a look at it. In the image to the right, you can see some of the pa'akai, or the salt, that is harvested. Here is another example of a natural salt basin on West Molokai. In Old Hawaiʻi, women would also collect salt water in gourds and pour them into small stone pans at home. These small stone pans would quickly evaporate the salt from the water. So poho pa'akai not only refers to the natural basins along the shoreline, along the rocky shoreline, but they also refer to these small stone pans that were used to create salt as well. Another traditional way of making salt is known lo'i pa'akai. This is done by transporting water from a brackish well into clay-lined holding beds. Here in this image, you'll see Hanapepe, Kauai, on the south shore of Kauai. It is famous for their salt beds. You can see in this satellite image, in this image taken from space, salt cultivation in these lo'i, or these salt beds. Lo'i Pa'akai o Ukula Ma Hanapepe is one of the few remaining sites for traditional Hawaiian salt farming. In this Vahipana, or story place, Hui Hana Pa'akai o Hanapepe is perpetuating salt-making practices and passing down this knowledge to upcoming generations. Watch this short video to learn how pa'akai is made in Hanapepe. And again, I encourage you all to watch this video using the link that is provided here, as you will have a question in your quiz that can only be answered by watching this video. This image here shows you numerous pohaku ku'iai, or rocks used to make poi out of kalo. Pohaku ku'iai is a stone that is used to pound the kalo into poi on a papa ku'iai, or a wooden board surface shown here. These pohaku were most often carved from basalt stones and formed with a rounded base and a knobbed head. One derivation often found on the island of Kauai is a stirrup or a handle shape. Notice the texture of the various pohaku ku'iai. Some have larger vesicles which can allow them to hold water, while others are more smooth. Remember from previous lectures that the vesicles form within a volcanic rock while gas is escaping from the lava flow. Here we have 2 more videos that allow you to learn about the process of ku'iai, where poi is made from cooked kalo or taro. And again, it might be easier for you folks to pull up the PDF version of this lecture to allow you to easily copy and paste the video links into YouTube or the internet. In this next slide, we will learn about nakalai wa'a, or canoe carvers. Maulua, a traditional 4-man canoe, was completed in 1993 by Clay Brittleman, Tava Taupu, and many others. You can see Uncle Tava here in this image. Maulua was created and birthed in the customary and ceremonial practice of kalai wa'a. The purpose of this was to prepare a group of men shown in the video to carry on this kuleana responsibility and receive the blessing from kupuna, or elders, to build the voyaging canoe makali'i. Makali'i is now a voyaging canoe that lives on Hawaiʻi Island. Maulua is a 4-man outrigger fishing canoe made out of all natural materials. The building of Maulua began with searching for a koa tree in the upland regions of the Keauhou Forest. This was one of the few places koa tree were still found, that were large enough for canoe making. The koa log then traveled to Honaunau after the ceremonial protocols to fell the tree. Malua was carved using only customary tools, including ko'i or adze, coral and stone abraders, and pinch or sap from kukui and ulu, as well as aha or coconut sennet used as rope and other native materials. So take a look at this video called Timeless Craft, which describes the process of creating this canoe. Iava'a Nui is a traditional pule, va'a, or canoe prayer that was revived in 1975 for the launch of Hokule'a. Since then, it has been used to birth canoes or when the canoes enter the water. It goes like this. Iava'a Nui, Iava'a Kialoa, Iava'a Peleleu Alele Mamala. Amanu o uka, amanu o kai, iiwi po lena, akauka hoku, akaui kamalama, apai kula. And usually you say that 3 times, and at the end of the 3rd time, you say amama wanoa. So what I wanted you guys to pay close attention to in this pule, or this prayer, are the words alele mamala, which refers to the pieces or chips of the log flying as it is being dug out using a rock or adze. And you can see here in this image, this is Uncle Tava, as well as Papa Mao, who we learned about in the last lecture. And what they're doing here is they're building their adze, which was used to carve out the canoe. And you can see the basalt rock here. This image here shows a canoe anchor made out of a large dense basalt rock, and this photo was taken at Kalai, the southernmost point of Hawaiʻi Island. A modern voyaging tradition that we have created, us as Hawaiian voyagers, as we travel along Kealikahiki, the pathway to and from Tahiti, is that each crew member brings a pohaku with them. Typically basalt, and sometimes shown in this picture, coral. At Kahopoakane, or the equator, the voyagers have an awa ceremony, and each voyager dedicates their pohaku, their rock, to someone either living or that has passed. The pohaku are then dropped into the ocean at the equator, and it is our hope that we are creating an ahu in this space, so that we, as well as generations yet to come, can return to this space and continue to honor our voyaging traditions as well as our ohana, our families. Next, pohaku were also important in games that were created in Old Hawaiʻi. In this image here, you'll see konane, which is a 2-player board game. Typically, konane was played either on a pohaku, as shown here, or on a piece of wood. So here you'll see that small pukas or depressions have been dug out in this large lava stone to create a game board called papamu. Black lava pieces and light-colored coral or seashells were used as game pieces. Around the island of Hawaiʻi, papamu in many different shapes, sizes, and weights can be found. Fishermen have come across some large rocks along the seashore, both in and out of water, with impressions and numbering up to 100 and beyond. Elders tell us that konane served many purposes. In addition to the game, it can be used as these papamu, or these rock features with the pukas, can be used as calendars for strategic war planning. They can also be used for medical instruction and diagnosis, charting, and teaching constellations and navigation. In the game Konane, each player picks a colored stone, either black or white, and the players then take turns attempting to remove the stones of their opponents. In any move, a player moves only one pebble, jumping in any direction except diagonally. You cannot move in more than one direction in a turn, and you can choose to make multiple jumps, but you don't have to. Directions on how to play the game can be shown here on this link. Another game is Ulumaika or Olohu. Ulumaika is a traditional stone disc rolling game. It's also the name of modern bowling. What you do when you play this game is you roll a round stone similar to one of the ones shown here in the image on the right, and you roll them between two stakes and you try not to hit the stake. To a casual viewer, this game might appear just as fun, a means of having fun, but in reality, these games are well-designed exercises that develop physical, mental, and spiritual strength. Games like Ulumaika were enjoyed year-round by people of all ages, and during the Makahiki season, major tournaments were arranged to showcase skills and strategies that were developed during the year. Here in this image, on the left-hand side, you'll see a pohaku luhe'e, a stone sinker that's attached with a kauri shell to a squid hook. It is said that this is an octopus lure. The octopus or he'e is attracted to the kauri shell. The attraction is described as follows. The male pohaku or stone and the female leho or shell are locked in a lover's embrace, and they dance via the skill hand of the lawai'a or the fisherman to seduce the octopus, which becomes so aroused that it must honi or kiss the shell. And when it does, the fisherman yanks firmly upward, lodging the hook into the he'e, the octopus. Prize he'e were often named for an ancestor or in a family and handed down between generations. So you'll notice from this story that Hawaiians have this thing known as kauna, which means that stories, words may have multiple meanings, and in this sense, when they describe the pohaku luhe'e, you can see different connotations in both the way that it is constructed, as well as the description of a lure and the story of attraction. Next, we're going to talk about ki'upohaku or petroglyphs. So located in the Ahupua'a or the Hawaiian Land Division of Panau Nui on the southern flank of Kilauea volcano is Pu'uloa. Pu'uloa is the name of the site, which contains a vast area covered with incredible numbers of pecked images in the hardened lava. These images are known as ki'ipohaku or petroglyphs. The archaeological site of Pu'uloa contains over 23,000 petroglyph images. These contain cupules or holes, 84% of the total. So you can see here multiple circles and other geometric shapes, as well as cryptic designs, human representations known as anthropomorphs, canoe sails, and even feathered cape motifs. In geologic terms, the center of Pu'uloa consists of a volcanic pressure dome with outlying areas of ancient, relatively level fields of pohoihoi, lava bedrock. The lava flow here has been dated between about 1200 to 1450 AD. The anthropologist Beckwith interpreted what some of these petroglyphs or ki'ipohaku might represent. She said a dot is, such as these, are the hole for a child. A dot within a circle, shown here, is the hole for the firstborn. Dots with two circles are the firstborn of an ali'i, or ruling chief. Plain circles could be calabash. A jagged line could be a lizard. A circle with a long line was a pulolo, a tapa-covered ball on a stick carried by an ali'i as a symbol of taboo. And a cross with a dot at each end was a cross before a chief at night in traveling. Here is a ki'ipuhaku of a turtle within Volcano National Park. If you take a look here, you can see that this is the shape of a sail on a canoe. In this image, you can see the dot with a circle around it representing a child, the firstborn, the hole for the firstborn, as well as representations of human figures. Here's another image of ki'ipuhaku. Unlike the images you saw previously, where pictures were carved or pecked out of pohoihoi, these stone figures of humans were recovered from Mokumanamana, an island in Papahanaumokuakea, the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. We will discuss these further next week. And this image is of ki'ipuhaku that are now living at Bishop Museum. So if you go to Bishop Museum, you might have the opportunity to see these ki'ipuhaku in person. All right, so this concludes the end of Module 5B. Please don't forget to take your quiz and use your notes as well as the readings to help with the Inoa Hawaiʻi or the Hawaiian names, because you will be asked to identify different pohaku features based upon their Inoa Hawaiʻi or their Hawaiian names.